Alright, we're going to try and do some fly-throughs on the Zanzibar Golf Club. We are now looking behind tee number 1 as we head off across the lake. Landing area here, very small tight one. Second shot. Green has multiple tiers. Fairly good sized bunker guard in the front as well. Also big quick runoff area. If you do go long, you could find yourself wet. Moving over to hole 2. Peninsula green. Elevated tees. Pretty generous green though. Very wide. Deep enough that, unless you really miss-hit something, you're going to be okay here. Third hole turns and heads uphill. We've got the first encounter with a creek down the right-hand side here. Thanks to some feedback from other designers, this was widened up. Trees were taken out of the corner here. Landing area was expanded, allowing better chance to hit this fairway and go for the green on this par 5 and 2. If you don't want to go for it, wind is bad, you can lay up. Now there is a big tree here in the way, so you're going to have to either lay up short or lay up long. One or the other. Still a fairly generous area. If you lay up past the tree, you just got to wedge your short iron in. Green has multiple tiers, but they're fairly soft because you could be hitting a 3-wood into here. Runoff areas at the front and the back here. And you can see we've got a flag tucked in the back corner there, but that allows you to run a 3-wood right up over the slope and down to that flag. Hole 4 really turns uphill. Looking over here from the back tees, heads up the hill, turns right, uphill the whole way, and then steeply uphill, probably about 40 feet from the landing area up to the level of the green. There is a false front here, big slope that'll bring the ball back down if you come up short. There's a tier here, a tier here, and this whole side has just got a little bit of slope, kind of a flat spot, but no true tiers. Head up to the 5th tee and some of the highest elevation point on the course. Looking down at this is a drivable par 4, especially in the tour version where you might play from the blue or the white tees here. Thanks to Ben for pointing out these bunkers were way too deep. They're much more reasonable now. Wide green, fairly deep. I can tell you my plan here for the tour version of this is round 4, the flag's back here. It is drivable because you're playing from forward tees. However, there is this behind the green. So you don't want to go long because, yep, there's little pockets to catch your ball here, but it's also possible that you're going to run all the way down to the bottom. Kind of proud of my little walking path here. Kind of cool. Going down, we've got some steps, bridge crossing the creek, a little backdrop with the waterfall action. And we head on over to the 6th tee. Really plays downhill from the back tees, less so from the other 2 tees. Generous area, but there's a big bunker, and of course there's a creek here. But this is 45 yards wide, so it's plenty wide enough for a reasonable swing. It plays downhill and down breeze in the prevailing wind. Green here, as with others, it's tiered. These longer holes don't have real severe tiers though because you're hitting a long iron in. Not too deep of a bunker in front here. Pretty reasonable. But most of the time this is going to be a hole that you're going to have to take par and be happy with. Moving over to the 7th. Par 5, very long, 619 from the back tees. It does play downwind, and it was my intention in the tour version that we will be playing from some of these more forward tees, and we will have one day that would be very high winds downwind, which makes this very reachable. Fairway looks very narrow. Till you get right to the landing area, it opens right up from you, or for you, excuse me. Uh, Bunker here on the right is not all that visible from the tee, though. It's kind of a, hey, it's a surprise. If it's playing downwind and you hit a big drive, you might be able to get there in two. Otherwise, you're going to want to lay up short of this deep ravine that's planted with a lot of scrub. I'll lay up here, I'll leave you with a pitching wedge, maybe an iron at worst in. If you can go for it, you can see this flag is ideal for the way this is. It's got a big slope here, 2 tiers in this green, high side on the right, low side on the left. The slope of the land here, if you're hitting 3-wood and you can land it about here, it will run up, catch this slope, and feed back to this flag. It's not quite, an Augusta Sunday pin, but it's definitely possible to hit an albatross here in the right conditions. Moving on to the 8th tee, another long par, or a long par 3. From the back tips that I can't get the tree out of the way of. There we go. This is playing 230 plus some of the back tee pins. Much shorter from the white and the red tees certainly here. And again, the tour version, this would play from 3 of the 4 tee locations. We've got a tier back here, just a little bit of slope around the rest of the green. Big deep bunker guard in the right, and runoff area around the rest of the green. On over to the 9th tee box. This is giving you a little bit of a choice, although I do have had some feedback that, well, what is my choice here? So if this is playing high or very high wind, downwind, it's possible to take a 3-wood, aim about here, carry it, and stop it short of that massive bunker on the other side of the fairway. If it's playing into the wind, you'll need driver to get over to this other side. It's about 278 to carry, but it's down 30. So a full driver shot into the wind will put you middle of the fairway. If it's playing downwind and you're playing a 295 driver, you're going to want to aim over here where you've got a little bit of room. You just don't want to slow it. If you fast into this bunker, so be it. Obviously, you don't want to hit slow and end up in the lake. Once you're over here, you got a sharp turn. Even this green, it's relatively flat. I tried to put a little lip here to try and give you a chance. If you're hitting a driver downwind with a cut and a little bit of backspin, you can land it here and actually hold it just barely here with the help of this little berm that might keep you out of the bunker. From there, we've got a green with 4 very small targets. Even if you're in the bunker, you're going to be hitting no more than pitching wedge 9 iron in. If you're in the fairway, you might well have sand wedge, lob wedge, and at that point, my expectations are you're going to be able to hit to a small target. You've got upper tier here, small. The other 3 locations have slopes that you can use to bring the ball towards the flag. All right, we got a bit of a flight off to the 10th tee. What was the clubhouse afterwards? So this plays back into the wind again. Very different yardages. 1 round in the tour version of this, we'd be playing from up here, downwind, which actually makes this hole drivable. Into the wind, you could probably hit driver and not have to worry about these bunkers. Side wind, a 295 driver, yeah, you might run into problems at the end of the fairway here, and certainly downwind, you would from the tips. From there, we've got a green that has 2, this is one of the steepest tiered greens, or most severe tiers that I've got, but again, you're hitting wedge in, so you should be able to get it on the correct tier. We actually have a flag here where you can really use the backstop. 2 flags in the back, 2 flags in the front across the 4 rounds. Hole number 11. Took out the blind tee shot after feedback. Now plays much more visible. Creek all the way down the left, big slope on the right that you could actually bounce off of, and if you just miss right, you're going to end up stuck in this heavy rough. If you miss too far right, you're actually going to kick down to the fairway. That is by design. But if you go left, yeah, the water's not going to forgive you. A bit of a shelved fairway. If you cut it close to the bank here, which is going to give you the shortest shot in, but you might have to deal with an overhanging tree limb, it's going to put you a little higher up. Down here, you're a little lower, hitting to a slightly elevated green. This green has 3 tiers, big middle tier and 2 smaller tiers at either side. This one you can use the backstop, and the back pin, this is going to be a long shot in. If you can run a long iron up it through here, you can catch this slope and feed it back to the hole again. Cross the bridge and we're at number 12, uphill, par 5. Even from the tips, it's only 530 something, but it is 66 uphill and does play into the wind for the most part. So a driver is going to put you into this very narrow neck. But redid that a couple of times to make it more receptive after myself and some testers hit what looked to be perfect drives only to find themselves in the right rough. This will now hold a tee shot that lands here. Or you can hit a 3-wood. You'll end up somewhere in here and concede that you're not going to be getting home in 2. Lay up to anywhere around here. Leaves you into a green that's got a tiny shelf back here. This is one where if the flag's back here, honestly, you probably don't even want to go for this in 2. You probably want to lay up, leave yourself a good pitch or a full wedge shot in to get to that flag. Just be careful with your backspin because you can spin it back off this tier down into this area. Bit of a false front, nothing too crazy, but if you come up a little short to this front flag, you will run back down off the green a ways. Moving on to the 13th, a little bit of an unusual configuration for the tees. Usually you see these staggered with the back tee, but in this case the back tee is more centered than the blue tees are, just farther back. We've got a bit of a banana-shaped green here, very subtle tiers. There's a big middle section here, 2 big side sections. It's about 210 to carry, or 205 to carry this from the back. So it is going to take a hybrid, maybe a 3-iron, long iron in. But you can land it here and release it back to these flags, or you can shape a shot in. Did several tries at this bunker. It was really, really deep. Like you couldn't hit a splash shot out of it previously. At this point, the deepest part of this green, this bunker rather, is about 10 feet below green level. So it's nothing crazy anymore. I really like it as a feature. I think it's cool, so I left it. A little walk over to the 14th tee. So this is one of the gives you a decision if you know that there's a decision to be made. The straightaway version says, I'm going to lay up down to here, and then we're going to have a wedge in. But this does play downwind, and it's possible to go right over these trees and hit the green. Now the thing is, landing on this green with the driver and holding that upper tier where there's 2 of the 4 pins is not easy. You'd have to hit a cut shot. You'd have to land it just short and get it to stop. Otherwise, you can end up all the way down at the bottom slope. There's a big tier here and another smaller tier, and then run off. Now, if the flag's here from the tee, yeah, you can easily drive it into this range, right? If you choose to lay up, again, you're going to have a bit of a walk. It's a bit of a hike to get to over there, but you can have a fairly straightforward shot. Jeez, excuse my flying here. It's getting late. I'm also not using a controller, so it's a little touchy. Pretty straightforward. Again, if the flag's in one of the 2 front pin positions, your best bet is really to hit a 3-wood, lay up down here, and then come across the green. Moving on to the 15th hole, this is unique, probably the signature hole, I would say. So from the back tees, this is your view. You see some fairways, you got some stuff over here, and then you've got a big bunker. Well, that actually works out to this. Lower fairway, upper fairway. Again, based on feedback from other designers, this fairway, which was ending here, got extended and got a upslope to help you hit this upper fairway if that's your choice. In normal winds, you can fly it right over the corner of this bunker, and there's enough camber here to this green to actually be able to hold, or the green fairway to be able to hold that fairway. Completely different view. Here's the blue tees. Blue tees puts you right in this choice where you can go either way. Totally up to you. You might want to check where the flag's at, which one's going to give you a better angle to the flag. And the white tees really set you up to play down the lower fairway. You could go for the upper one, but you're basically level there rather than downhill. And again, this is one that in the tour version, you're going to get to play all 3 locations: black, blue, and white. Not playing the reds on the tour, sorry. From there, big bunker right, smaller bunker left, kind of a grass bunker in front. This green is very large, very subtly tiered greens. You've got a couple lower areas around and a big central area here. Par's a good score on this hole. 16th hole, the Tetris hole. You'll see why. In an unusual design move, the shorter tees are actually higher up. Say it's a homage to my wife, who is always frustrated that she doesn't get the pretty views from the ladies' tees. You know, the guys' tees are always higher up. So this one, nope, she gets the preferred treatment here. Narrow neck to run through, couple of big bunkers on either side, and a massive bunker at the back that might save you from going into the creek. There's a big shelf here. We've got a front flag, real backstop available there. Big wide second shelf with a couple of flags. And this back one, well, you're probably not going to be able to fly it to this location and hold it. If you want to get to this back flag, you're going to need to land something right to the front of this slope and run it back there. All right. So 17, again, couple of different tee options here. From the black tees, you can see, we'll zoom out here, kind of a dogleg left, hugs the creek the whole way. Bite off as much as you want or bail out to the right. Again, depending on where the flag is when we get to the green, you may actually want to be to the right, but other flags you're going to want to stay to the left. The blue tees, which are also used in the tour version, are actually more elevated. They've got a much more direct line down this fairway. That doesn't require that you challenge the water quite so much. Second shot crosses the creek. Very similar to the 9th green. We have got 4 distinct levels. They're much larger than the 9th green because you're coming in with a much longer club. And we've got pretty generous runoff back on either side. The biggest tier is this front one, and that means that you've got a really good backstop here that you can use. For the left and right flags, it's possible to land it on the top and use the slope to bring it down to the flag. Finally, the 18th hole. Big lake down the right. A couple of bunkers to help you out if you start to lose it right. If you put it in the fairway, generally this is playing downwind, you can have a go at this green in 2. If not, you're going to be laying up down here. You have a go at this green. It is a large green. It is subtly tiered. There is a high spot up here. a little kind of a back shelf here, front shelf here, and a false back. So our back flag is right about here. If you come in a little too hot, you're going to catch this slope and run off the back. Note for other designers, if you're doing courses, don't start your course at the edge of your plot of land. You end up having to do silly stuff like this to keep the illusion that we are, not just open fields of stuff off beyond. Oh, while we're doing the video or the walkthrough here, I sure wish we had a driving range like this in-game with green areas to hit to at different yardages. Would be really nice. And finally, hey, it's Clubhouse. Come sit, have a beer after you're around. But the parking lot's all mine. That's me. I'm the only car in the parking lot. It's my course. I can do that. Thanks for watching.